Yeah, okay, we're live. Hey, everybody, if you're tuning in live, if you're tuning in after the broadcast, it's okay, don't worry about it. Originally, this was going to be a dedicated pre recorded video, but you know what? It's Friday as of this post. Let's do a live stream. Why not? Let's keep the tradition going, I guess. Hi, everybody. My name is Giovannie Menendez from A Week in Geekdom, here to talk to you about my spring 2019 anime review. I did a month and a half ago, I'm going to say. I did my first video on this subject. I went into the magical world of seasonal anime. I know a lot of people don't like to keep up with shows because of the commitment of week to week. But you know, I had the time, and I said, you know what, screw it. Let's keep up to date with what is happening with all the shows. And I sort of went through the stuff that I was watching and my first impressions on it. After that, I finished a lot of those books, so I'm ready to talk about them. Just a quick video, just a brief video on the shows. Yeah, I, there's no fancy graphics. I have my phone here, and you can't see it because it's super bright. But I do have a list of all the shows, and they are it's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like 17 different shows. So I'm not going to take too long on every title, just some quick impressions, lasting thoughts, I guess, on these titles. If you have a different opinion, let me know in the comment sections or in the chat or wherever. I'm very interested in your opinion as to what you thought of the shows, if you have seen them or not. Yeah, last time I was in the middle of a lot of shows, and I was also watching. Um, I was also watching some older stuff, older quote unquote. They're not really that old because. Hi, Joe. Hey, buddy. Thank you. This is completely improvised. I didn't I wrote it earlier today on my community tab. This was just a random idea that came about a few hours ago. So yeah, I don't expect a lot of live viewers tonight. But regardless, it's just a quick stream, so don't worry about it. Um, yeah. So last time I mentioned that I was watching a couple shows that were a little bit old, maybe like a year or 2 years old. I don't know. They were not from the season, but I did include them because I was, whatever, I was watching them. So um, I did finish a lot, and a lot of these shows. The first one that I want to mention is a freaking Attack on Titan, man. Attack on Titan season 3 part 2 is quite possibly one of my favorite things of the year so far, simply because I have managed to avoid all types of spoilers up until now. And wow, okay, like the epic scope and nature of the series just expands tenfold when you finally learn sort of the secrets, because there are tons of more information that we're still learning, especially anime viewers. I haven't read the manga, but you start learning about these things, and they just change the perception and the tone of the whole series. And that's the thing I love most about series like this that rely on its history and world building and all that stuff. When you finally have like the truth behind the truth, it's mind-boggling. It's superb, and I loved it. Like, it was only 10, or no, it was 12 episodes, and I think like 6 of them or 7 were dedicated to the retaking of the wall, and finding the basement and all that stuff, and the fights and the characters that die, and the action is intense. It was like the final third act of an epic movie, but just a series. And when you do find out what's happening, it is spectacular. I absolutely loved it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to say it is a game changer. And I want to revisit the whole thing, especially the beginning part of season 3, because I feel that was very one. It was very underrated, and when you do find out what's happening, it becomes sort of like a half truth, and it's very interesting. Also, beginning from season one to see all the changes now that you know the reality of what is out there, what the Titans are, and what the conflict really is about. So yeah, easily, I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 simply because they split season three into two halves, and the first half it's slow because it delves into the politics of the world that these characters are inhabiting, and it might drag just a tiny little bit, and then you get to the later portion, and it's just an all-out fantastic ride, action packed, and very somber and pretty interesting um, answer to all the questions that we've had so far. So yeah, easily season three gets a full 9 out of 10 for me. I usually don't review stuff with ratings, but whatever, we're doing it now, I guess. So yeah, another one that I was, and these are in no particular order, by the way. They're just written here on a notepad. Another one that I was watching was "Why the Hell Are You Here, Teacher?" I don't know what compelled me, although let's be honest, we do know what compelled me because it is a very not safe for work series, and I heard it was very, it was a comedy uh, series, and I gotta say, the first couple of episodes I laughed simply because it was so heavily censored. The characters, you would have a giant image, and I just found that hilarious at times. But after like two episodes, that bore me to tears, and it resulted in me not giving a crap about the series. And it's no bueno. It's no good. I give it like a 3 out of 10 simply because of some awkwardness and some really cool, greatly done character designs. That's it for me. I'm sorry. I did not like this whatsoever. Next up, it's still ongoing, but Demon Slayer is my second. Actually, I think it's my first, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. I think it's my favorite, also my favorite thing about 2019. But anime wise, I think it's my favorite so far. I talked how great it was on the previous video, and I'll say it again. Everything that UFO Table is doing is on point, as the kids nowadays say. Do they still say that? I don't know. The action, the music, the choreography, the CG, the way the characters look and act and behave is simply amazing and beautiful and just action packed. Every episode feels like you're watching a movie. It ends on a cliffhanger, and even though I get annoyed by it, it's still awesome, and I don't mind because I'm looking forward to that next episode, and it delivers, and the story continues progressing at a nice pace. It reminds me of watching like an old sci-fi supernatural samurai flick from I don't know, from a couple decades ago, something like that. It's awesome, and I do still think Tanjiro is the best, or is my favorite modern shonen lead. He is just wholesome and badass. Next up, Fruits Basket. I've watched. I think it's going to be like 25 episodes this first season. I've seen like 13 of them, and it's great. It's a delight. It's wholesome, and it really does have a lot more emotion, I think, than the original. Because the original, while it was fun and a classic for a lot of people, it was just fine. This one I enjoy a lot more, especially the updated art, and of course it closely follows the manga as well. So that's a plus. Um, Next up, Midnight Occult Civil Servants. I dropped it completely after like 3 episodes because I was bored. Like I said, it was like Men in Black, but with folklore and mythology and fairies and all that stuff. It's fine. It's fine. But the art, I was not a fan of. And there were just other shows that were a lot more interesting. So unfortunately, I dropped it. And maybe one day I'll go back and watch the rest, but it's not a high priority on my list. Next up, Isekai Quartet. It's not as funny as I would have wanted it to be, but at the same time, it was really fun, and I wish other characters in the series could have had the spotlight. Instead, it kept focusing on a particular set of characters. And I know, yeah, it's only four series and there's set of MCs or main characters, but still, it sort of felt a little bit uneven. And I'm very happy that we're getting a season two. I cannot wait. If you want to go into it, watch the four series because you might be a little bit lost when it comes to inside jokes and character interactions. They're a lot funnier if you've seen, of course, Konosuba, Overlord, ReZero, and Tanya. So yeah, I give it like I'm gonna say like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. We never learn. I was a little bit iffy on it, and I as I watched more episodes, I did consider dropping it simply because these characters do some stupid stuff, man. Like the characters make the dumbest decisions with trashy, not trashy, with like classic tropes that I just don't like, and I don't like the somewhat rom com etchy stuff. You grow past that. There, at a certain time, at a certain point in time when you're young, you enjoy that stuff, and then you move on. For me, at least. So but then again, it is a Shonen Jump title, and it has a uniqueness to it. I love the artwork, and I love the character designs, and actually the humor in it. Sometimes it's really funny and clever. Other times is really just eh. So I give it like a yeah. I'm also gonna give it between a 6 and a 7 out of 10. I guess it was fine. It's also getting a second season. I'll probably watch it because the girls were actually pretty interesting and funny. But the main character, boy oh boy. Next up, Carol and Tuesday. I don't want to review it yet because I've only seen the first episode and I'm a little bit behind. But it's fantastic. Anything involved with Watanabe, it's a highly recommended on my part. So I'll move that to my summer reviews later on because I haven't started it yet. Next up, uh, Hitoribochi is an amazing. Um, uh, oh yeah. Joe, sorry about that. I will post. This is mostly improvised. I will post the list in the description after I'm done. Sorry about that. I will post the list of all the titles and stuff, so don't worry. But also check out the first video because I go into a little bit more of a detail on it and at a slower pace because this is like a rapid fire review session. Uh, so yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. Hitoribochi, it's a wholesome slice of life show that just energized me week after week. It is beautiful, it is funny, cute, and the girls in this series are very energetic and wholesome. And it is a very positive message for kids that are going through social anxiety, nervousness, and fear of meeting others and all that stuff. So I do commend it on that for tackling those subjects. And Bochi, she's just a delight and such a cute character that I cannot recommend it enough. If you want a nice, funny, wholesome slice of life show about a girl trying to work past her fears to become friends with people in high school, middle school, give it a shot. Everything about this is really great. I loved it. The haha episode was probably my favorite. Next up, Sarasanmai. This was weird from the start and it was weird all the way up to the end, but I loved it. I freaking loved it. And I love the idea that you took a concept like Kappa demons that involve, if you know about the Kappa folklore and mythology, um, there's the human body supposedly has like this mystical organ that's way up there, down below in the nether regions. So the Kappa attack humans so they can take that out. So the show goes into that, but it's not graphic or anything. It just mostly at the beginning you laugh because it's so absurd and ridiculous, but you keep coming back because of the twists and the greatly written drama between the characters. three boys that are very interconnected. Their stories relate to each other. They are going through some really interesting drama heavy stuff. I'm not going to spoil all the twists and turns, but they break the Kappa Lord Demon statue thing, and the prince shows up and transforms them into little Kappas, and they are getting the hope dishes. I hope I said that right, and that will grant them wishes. And the Kappas are fighting against the Otter Society because in Japanese folklore, of course, they're long rivals, the otters and the Kappa frog monster thingamajigs. So aside from that totally weird premise, the series is about connectivity, how humans interact with each other, from an interpersonal to external relationships with coworkers, with friends, family, loved ones, and just great written show, man. Just one of the best of the season. I absolutely loved it. I cannot recommend it enough. The premise, if you get past the oddity of it, I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna enjoy this weird yet charming series that just explores a lot of heavy themes in a very stylized way. So I really do want to give it. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm taking zero point 0.5 points out because of because of the weirdness. And I didn't really get the whole otter thing until later on in the series. But overall, it's just superb writing, in my opinion. I like weird series. I like shows that take risks and write compelling stories about characters, regardless of their backgrounds. That's what I like. Next up, Gabriel Dropout. I didn't I didn't actually finish it, so eventually I'll talk about it. So yeah, I'll pass on that one. Sorry about that, guys. I started Blend S or Blends, which is about the maid cafe and the maids that are themed by character tropes. So I thought that was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty well stylized and written. It's very comedic. It has some etchy humor, but if you can get past that, I think you'll enjoy Blend S. Quintessential Quintuplets. That was from Winter, and I totally forgot to watch it. So I started watching it. Not a fan. I find most of the characters pretty annoying, and the situation is just you can only find that in a show like that. I don't know. I prefer Sadasanmai, which is really well written compared to something like Quintessential Quintuplets, which is about a tutor tutoring quintuplets, and they are annoying at first. Eventually, you grow to love them and all that stuff. Stuff we've seen before in other shows. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a I want stylistically I want to give it a 5 out of 10 because they're five girls, but I'm whatever, just a 3 out of 10. Next up, we're what's this? Oh, Helpful Fox Senko-san. Like Bochi, this was really good. I loved the character of Senko. She is extremely wholesome. The series is a delight. I mentioned in the previous video that I hoped younger crowds would understand the problem that Japanese society and really world society, if you will, have with overworking and being stressed and not finding time for yourself to relax and sort of be in sync with the world, I guess. I don't know. So I thought it was really well done. The ending, that was the only thing I did not like. The ending was very predictable. As soon as a character does an action near the end of the series, like a couple episodes towards the finale, I knew where it was headed, and it played exactly like that, and it ended in a very predictable way. I would have wanted something completely different. I wanted them to explore the relationship between the main character, main human, and the neighbor, and all that stuff. Uh, that did not happen. But instead, it's a very wholesome, pretty looking show with a positive message. And it's very entertaining. If you want to relax and unwind, then yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. I give it like I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 or a 6. I don't know. I don't. I don't do well with ratings. Rising Shield Hero. Rising Shield Hero was the thing that I was really looking forward to this year. We first started watching it in January, I think, and then it continued. Let me move this cable out of the way. Sorry. And then it continued up until recently when it ended, and it adapted the mangas, which were based off of light novels, and it was really superb, really great, just fantastic. I think it's a new chapter in the isekai world, and I was not totally on board midway because of Philo. Like, I know a lot of people like her. I know a lot of people are fans of that character, but I was really when you watch this, when you start watching the series, it has a very different tone than everything else that you've seen in the isekai world genre. But once that character shows up, they do explore some really tiresome and tropes that I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of. But I got over it pretty quickly, and I ended up really liking it, really enjoying what they were doing. And obviously, it ended on not a cliffhanger, but there's more content out there, and a season two is bound to happen because they didn't adapt the whole story. So yeah, I do say like a maybe like a 8 out of 10, simply because it did explore some tropes that, yes, they were fun, but they could have been executed better. Plus, when the main plot of the series has to deal with the waves, when that's over, I thought, not the waves. The main problem is the waves, but there's also a subplot regarding Naofumi. And when that gets resolved, I thought that was the perfect way to end your first season. Instead, it continued towards the island stuff portion of the story, which really felt like the beginning of season two. Like, I know, and plus the season finale, it ended really well, but I would have saved that for a season two. I don't know what you guys think, but regardless, it's a very fun new take on the off to another world genre. Raftalia is a fascinating, cute character. Now Fumi as well. Just the fact that they're a little bit older, the humans in the story, brings it to a different level than other isekai shows. Plus, the art was consistent all the way through, and it was just a delight to watch the characters just talking. And the fights were good. Everything about it was pretty awesome, in my opinion. So yeah, what else? What else do we got? One more show. Save the best for last. All right, Dororo. I am working on a video essay on Dororo, which will be sort of a review slash opinion piece on it, because I do think it is easily one of the best anime around. I genuinely do believe that. There are probably some faults to it. I will have to examine that a little bit deeper and talk about them in the video more in depth. But for the most part, it is a successful reinventing of a beloved classic. Tezuka wrote the story back in the 60s, and it was animated in 1969. So 50 years later, we get sort of like a reboot. It does its own thing by the end. Sort of, it has sort of a different ending, but the story is gut wrenching, emotional. The fights are just freaking fantastic. I love that series so much. It was really awesome, episode after episode. I do know that midway they suffered through budget stuff, and you do notice in a couple episodes, but still, even at its worst, it still looks really freaking amazing. And the character interactions, the way the story plays out, they simplified some elements compared to the old TV show and the manga, but the way they went about it was very satisfying. And it's a Tezuka story. Tezuka, he is the god of manga for a reason. And I think Now I want more newer versions of Tezuka books in anime form. Can we get that, please? Yeah, my favorite shows so far of 2019 are undoubtedly Dororo, then Demon Slayer, and then Attack on Titan. Those are my 10 out of 10s or whatever. They're fantastic, and I wholeheartedly recommend them. I think y'all agree with me. Maybe I don't know. So that's it. That's my first ever spring review, I guess. Spring 2019 anime review. Of course, more shows premiered, but I wasn't going to watch everything. I just focused on those titles that I mentioned. Now, for summer, I am watching a lot of them, more than spring, so it's going to take a while. Um, I'm probably going to do a mid, probably when I hit like 10 or so episodes for each. I'll probably do a video or a live stream talking about those shows, like Dr. Stone and Fire Force and all that stuff. I did do a preview on the summer guide if you want to check it out on this channel. And yeah, that's that's about it. Um, this was completely improvised and not a lot of people tuned in. Shout out to my boy Joe. Thank you so much. You are awesome for watching and supporting the channel. Thank you. For everybody else that's watching this pre-recorded, let me know what you thought of the shows that I talked about, and give me your honest take, honest opinion, and reviews and all that stuff. I'm very interested in finding out, especially if you watched Dororo and you really loved it, and we can be besties about it. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank you, buddy. As always, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing to A Week in Geekdom. You guys are the absolute best. I wish you all nothing but the very best and many blessings. I have got to go. I will end this live stream on a positive note and wish you all the best once again. So, thank you. I will catch all of you on our next live stream.